Hey, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City. Big shout out to DJ City. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. I got DJ Never here.
Yo, what's up?
I got Jamie the Great here.
Yeah, what up, what up?
And D Miles is MIA. He's getting his ass fixed once again.
Still getting his ass fixed.
Still getting his ass fixed. And we have a special guest host who's holding it down for D Miles. We got Ross One in the building. What up, Ross?
Hey.
And then, we got two of New York's finest over here. We got Tondo 1988 and C-Flow. And we're going to make this kind of like a little New York session. And Jamie's going to be the LA outside over here.
I'll be the tourist of this podcast.
So C-Flow, Tondo, thanks for coming through, man. Appreciate y'all coming through, man, for real.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So what's good? I mean, how's it? How y'all feeling in New York right now? I know it's been pretty, y'all were really going through it early on in March. And it seemed really dark and dismal. And it seems like you guys have turned the corner over here. I mean, Governor Cuomo's definitely feeling himself right now. And he's acting like y'all just won the NBA championship of COVID, in the United States. So I definitely want to highlight that since the pandemic hit, in March, all of you guys have been really productive. And I've been really inspired and by what you guys are doing. Tondo, you're one of those like local resident DJs that was, an open format DJ in New York, and you was pretty much in a lot of the clubs and a lot of the bars around there, and you've somehow transitioned to becoming a producer, and I want to talk more about that. And you have a new single coming out. It's called Questions through Fool's Gold, right?
Yeah.
And then Ross, you've also been doing production. Congrats on that. You had a song on Buju Banton's new album, Cheated, that you did with Pace Rock.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that as well. And C-Flow, you've been busy too. You developed an app back in around April or so called Stemverter, right?
Yes.
It's probably an app that almost every DJ should have, every producer should have, where it extracts like acapellas and vocals, drums, bass lines, keys from pretty much almost any song, right? It can pretty much do it with almost all the songs. But you guys have been pretty busy with everything going on. Yeah,
I was going to give him his props because I've been listening to his song, Your Love, nonstop. That's one of my favorite tracks to drive to. And it's fucking dope as fuck. I like his shit is really different, really refreshing. And shouts to you because I know you dropped that like right after quarantine and all that shit happened. And you've been catching some traction. And probably most of Spotify plays is me, but shouts to you, bro. It's not good.
No, you dropped that. That was kind of you dropped that last year, right? Your Love.
I think it was like sometime in the winter.
Yeah.
My memories look bad, but like probably 5-6 months ago, maybe March actually. Maybe he's right. Yeah. Maybe.
Oh no, sorry. It was March of last year, but I started playing it a lot because you posted about it on Twitter during the quarantine. I got confused, but it was March of last year when you dropped it. That's my fault.
I was really impressed when you dropped that single. I thought it was great, and I know how hard it's like. I mean, can you explain like transitioning from being a local resident DJ to like produce an open format and then producing dance music?
I mean, I've been producing music this whole time.
Yeah,
but it's like a process, It's like I'm finally like kind of turning a corner where it's like people are noticing. For 10 years, I was like, my music just nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm like a superstar now or anything like that, but just like the plays were just like horrible. You know what I mean? But now it's like people are listening and records are getting signed and like things are happening. So it's like, I don't know. Music has always been the focus. Like I wanted to DJ, but just like the open format thing is just like, here's the ceiling. Like, how do I just didn't see how you could like pass a certain threshold. You know what I mean? Like, so music has always been like the focus for me.
Yeah, because I remember spinning with you at the Toronto Film Festival. You remember that? Like, I think it was 2 years ago, right? And then, Marty was there. Shout out to Marty. And I started following you, and you're really like a character. I love you on Twitter, man. You're amazing. You seem so over the open format scene. You're like completely over it.
Yeah.
You're like completely done with it and over it in New York. And I think, you know, like you said, you've been working on music for the past 10 years, but it started getting some, like, people started noticing maybe in the last 2 years, right? Would you say that?
Yeah.
And do you think that's like kind of the natural course of production? Do you kind of get it? Do you understand the process now that it would take 8 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like for some people, like, you're just a natural, or, you know, some people say that isn't the case, but like, it definitely just like, it took a while. Like, I'm not a natural musician. Like, I never played instruments as a kid. Like, my songs were out of key for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Shit.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not a natural. So eventually I was just like, I started like kind of just reaching out to people for things that I can't do. Like, I can't engineer. Like, I can get really close, but I'm just not going to engineer a track the same way that someone who just engineers can engineer a track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just realizing that, like, I'm not the most talented dude in the world, but I definitely want to like make dope music, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it, you know?
Ross, you kind of went through the same kind of like, I don't know, process, right? When you started doing production, where you would kind of like look for really great loops and stuff, and then you started like kind of layering drums, but then you'd work with other producers to kind of like build on, you know, your beats and certain.
Yeah. I mean, Pace and I have been working together for a long time, and
Shout to Pace Rock, yeah.
Pace Rock. And I mean, that's my dude from back in Cincinnati. So we go way back, and we've been just kicking around beats for like, honestly, years. You know, I'll find a loop or chop something up and just add some kind of like skeleton drums under it. And then he's actually really on point with production. And he's the kind of guy who can sit and watch like 40 hours of Ableton tutorial YouTubes. I can't watch any of that stuff. I'm like, I just want to chop it and put drums under it and be done. You know, like, I'm really, really simple when it comes to what kind of beats I like and then how I would make a beat. So it's really helpful to kind of, I just send those ideas to him too. And it's vice versa. You know, we're kind of always just working back and forth.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've made some stuff that we're kind of in that stage right now where there's like some good stuff in the tank kind of, and it just, you're just sort of waiting. It's a place I'm kind of familiar with a little bit, where you just like want to have your shit pretty good so that when the opportunity does come, you're like kind of ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Buju record is really cool. I think that, I mean, that's the first thing we've ever had placed, you know, for us working together. But there's other stuff that we've just been kind of like, you just kind of sit on it. And this business is so crazy for just kind of how long you'll end up sitting on a project or sitting on a record and nothing happens. And then, you know, you're just kind of waiting. You're waiting for that break. I know the feeling of it, and I can feel that we're right there. You never know if it's going to happen or not. But
when did you submit the beat for Cheated for the Buju?
The Buju record was, I mean, that's just a beat. Like, the beat is something Quali used. I mean, High Tech used, which for both me and Pace being from Cincinnati, like, I was just kind of fucking with that because I was like, oh, this is dope. It's due for a rework because Reflection Eternal used it.
It was the Fortified Live beat, right?
Fortified Live, yeah. And so I was messing around with it. I sent it to Pace. He kind of like took it in a whole other cool direction, and it was just like a fun thing. And then because we're both on Rock Nation, we kind of submitted through them because Buju works with Rock Nation. We were just kind of like, we got this kind of like a dance hall beat. It's kind of a throwback dance hall type beat, and you know, they just sent it in. It's crazy how it works. Sometimes it takes like, you know, a couple days or a couple weeks, and then sometimes it's a couple years on stuff like that.
So how long did that one take?
I want to say maybe we first turned it in 6 months ago, you know, and there and the people, you know, the management or whatever was like, we like this. He's going to record to it. Maybe even more. It might have been more like a year ago, because probably 6 months ago was the first time I ever heard like a rough track of Buju on it, just like in the office with Rock Nation people. And they were just like, here's kind of a sketch that he's going to record, which was crazy to hear that, but you don't get to take it with you. So I was like trying to tell Pace, I'm like, oh, it's crazy. It's got Buju on it. Like, he's like, what does it sound like? I'm like, I don't know. Just Buju, you know, like I don't remember shit about it because we didn't write the song. We just made the beat. It was just like, you know, sometimes it's like that. You're not really producing the whole song. You just make the beat, give it off, and then you don't know what you're going to get back.
And then there's no input, right? They don't tell you if it's going to make the album. They don't tell you, hey, how do you like this mastered? You like the arrangement? That's it.
You know, we're not on the radar like that. I think you got to kind of earn your stripes for that kind of stuff before they. But if you turn in, I mean, if you want to do that, what you do is you turn in a complete song. You work out the melodies, you get somebody to sing on it, and you say this is the song, and then they can take parts of it from there. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have that on this record. It was just a cool beat that we were kicking around.
And Tondo, the process for you is like completely different, right? It's more indie. It's more like, as soon as it's ready, you just kind of push it out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with labels, like nothing like Rock Nation, but I've dealt with like small dance labels, and like that. I signed Your Love originally to this label, and for 9 months it was like, I don't know, they were just dragging their feet. They were initially interested, and then it just like worsened. So like I've signed stuff, and that stuff definitely takes a while because I feel like there's a schedule at labels where it's like, it's this person's turn. But then like doing indie stuff, like I just finished a song like this week, and it's mixed and mastered, and I'm waiting on artwork, and that'll be out like August 31st.
Wow.
I have a question for you, Tondo. Like, you had such a successful run with Your Love. You're talking about you were dealing with a label and it took 9 months. Why did you sign the next single to like a Fool's Gold record? Like, didn't you just want maybe just run it by yourself, or what's the? Because as a DJ, I believe that you don't really need the label that much anymore, especially as you being your own DJ. Like, you can play your own record. Like, what does a label can do for a producer like you or other producers,
right,
that are DJs? Like, what does the label bring to you that you're not you don't have access to? What I'm saying? Like,
basically, what are the benefits of teaming up with the label or having it? Do they help with distribution? Do they give you a budget for like a music video or marketing? Like what are the benefits? And obviously, you're like a local resident DJ in open format in New York, so it's very different if you were like a huge dance DJ, like a huge DJ in the dance market in the industry. So is there like, what are the benefits? You know what I mean? Like, what's the appropriate way to go about releasing music? I guess that's what you were trying to say, right? I'm just building on that. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I think the benefits are that labels have relationships with like people in licensing, Spotify playlisting, DJs, radio. Like, I don't have all those relationships. Like a label like Fool's Gold, like I'm sure they know people at all sorts of places that can like just get more eyes on your song. Cause like when you release a song by yourself, you are essentially becoming a label, which is cool. But like for these like major label songs to really go, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And like, I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend like to promo a song. And I don't have those relationships to like, I know the Spotify dude, I know like the head guy at Rolling Stone, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't have those relationships. And
just like DJing, you got to have the right personality for it. And for if you're kind of like a bit of an asshole, like, many of the members of this podcast, when it comes to just sort of outward personality shit. We're not assholes. It's just like you're a little standoffish or whatever, but it doesn't work. It's just like in DJing, you need those relationships. It's the reason why a DJ who's maybe not quite as good will get a job over a DJ who's maybe more talented for the room. It's just all about personal relationships. It's the same when you get into production. And that's why it's cool that you can do it on your own. But unless you really have a standout track, you're going to need help of a lot of people.
Yeah,
the label co-signing the track will get you further than you ever could.
And people will pay a lot more attention. Like having Fool's Gold, you're gonna get a lot of attention for that record right out of the gate. People are gonna give it a chance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Got it. Sorry, it sounds so ignorant, guys. Didn't. Yeah, my fault.
we don't expect much from you, Jamie. Don't worry.
No. No, wait. Tondo, are you doing the vocals on the next track too, or nah?
I wish I could.
Because he did the vocals on Your Love, and I enjoy that track a lot.
Those were Splice vocals. Those aren't mine.
Okay. Well, Spotify said you performed it, so I'm like, oh shit, okay.
I can't sing at all.
I was about to say, I don't think that was his vocals on that record.
That's what Spotify said. I was like, he probably tweaked it. He probably did some shit to it. I don't know. Spotify was like, yeah, he performed it. I was like,
I'd be like wildly and proud. I'd be like, damn, this motherfucker need to go out there right now. Fucking next Drake over here.
For real.
Hey, so with you guys being producers, have you messed with C-Flow's new app, which is the Stemverter at all? Do you guys know about it? I messed around with it a little bit. It's really good, and you just
Pause.
updated it, right?
Yeah, I know. I sent you the new version when I put it out.
Yeah.
So I put the new version out probably like, I guess, close to a month ago now. And it basically, like, I put the first version out in April, and I just, it was basically my pivot when everything shut down. I was like, okay, I got to figure out what I can do to get some income coming in. And at first I was doing like I'm still doing one-on-one Mac help over Zoom for people, including most people I know are DJs.
Yeah, you're like the Mac wizard, right?
Yeah. So I was doing like one-on-one appointments and installing the components of Stemverters like under the hood, command line tools, and people would have to type in codes to do all the things that the app does. And one of my buddies was like, dude, you should get this developed into an app. And I was like, I kind of like the one-on-one, being like, I don't really want to invest in all this, whatever. Finally, I hired a developer and I got the first one made, but like I had designed the interface and all that. And so it wasn't very polished, and, it functioned, like the functionality was there, but there was room for improvement. So I spent basically all the money I made on the first run reinvesting to like polish up what state it's at now. It looks nicer. It functions much cleaner. Installation doesn't hang as often as the first one did for some people. And I got another version coming out in like 6 more weeks. My developer's working on right now, which will have batch conversion. So you'll be able to drop like 20 songs on at once. Just click go.
God damn.
And then the option to wrap it as an MP3, so that, you can choose WAV or MP3, and the MP3 would like clone over the ID3 information from the source file. So I feel like if you're doing production stuff like in Ableton, or anyone who wants to use the stems to make music, you'll probably just leave it as a wave. But a lot of DJs who are going to be doing like live blends or use it as a tool would probably want to save the space and wrap it back as an MP3. So having it sort of do all those like post conversion steps, file management steps for you is going to be like, I guess, the new features that set it apart from other options that are out there.
So you basically developed that app, right? In like a month or so, or how?
Yeah, like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
God damn.
Is that normal?
Oh,
that seems fast. No?
That seems super fast.
That's
I mean, the components are available. Like, it's based on an open source that can be used in commercial outlet. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen like Phonic Mind. It was been around for like a year, but it's pay per track. So you have to pay, I think it's like $3 for every conversion, or buy, 5 conversions for $10 or whatever. They have like tiered systems. But once that same AI splitting technology became available on your desktop, like not on the cloud, that's when I paid a developer to wrap that into a user interface that is an app.
Wow.
So it was like I saw the accessibility and I looked into the licensing and I was like, oh wow, you can use this in commercial development. I was like, all right, let's wrap it up.
So with some of the acapellas and like in the drums, the separations, right? On certain songs where there's like, there's not so many layers, it can really separate the tracks really well, right?
So what it is it's AI that's been trained to listen for each component. So they it's originally developed by Deezer, which is like a Spotify-like company out of France. And they trained the model. It's like a model they've thrown a bunch of acapellas at it and a bunch of drums and a bunch of basses, and it's learned what those frequencies are. And then it goes and it analyzes the song you put in based on those models and pulls out the pieces. And what your question, like to answer that, is if the producer has left enough space for each sound in the mix, then yeah, it does it very well. If it's over compressed, or like, if there's like sounds that are bleeding into the spaces, kind of on top of each other, that's when it has a harder time, and an acapella might come out a little DIY sounding. I know a lot of the Bad Bunny, Ozuna stuff, like that's really clean because of the way that it's mixed and mastered. Like whoever's done the arrangement has left enough space between each sound. All the older records, like, 70s and 80s and disco and stuff like that, those all sound really, really nice. Hip hop, it just depends on, the song. You're going to get a varied, I would say probably like 85% of the time it turns out pretty good. And sometimes it turns out a little more tinny or a little more transients or whatever, but it's a case by case. And, RX-7, the VST is like the pro. You can change all the parameters and dial in the sounds and like spend time and really filter it the way you want. And Stemverter is kind of like the drag and drop and click go. AI takes care of it, but you don't really have much say over the parameters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great. Like I mean, I'm probably like maybe out of every 8 songs, it really can't pick it up. But like you said, it really depends on the songs that I'm doing. Like I think I did it with like LL Cool J, I Need Love, and it came out perfect. Especially
a lot of times, like, you know, you're done. You're like, I still can't believe it that it works. You know, I'm like, I've been wanting this the whole time I've been DJing.
So does the AI improve ever so that it can kind of pick up more sensitivity?
Periodically they release a new, and it's on server side. So when you first install it, it actually grabs those components off the internet and pulls them down onto your computer. And in my next version, I'm going to have like in like the setting, there'll be a settings page and you'll be able to like clear out the old version. It'll grab the new stuff from the server.
That's dope.
Got it. That's pretty dope. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fuck. 3 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
Shit.
How much is the app?
So it's normally $79, but right now I'm running 25% off because of the release of version 1.1. And it's just the code's update 1. So you put the promo code in. People can always DM me on Instagram or Twitter too. I'll always like throw a code at them. So
yeah. Tondo, do you have it? Do you have that app or no?
No. Yeah, I guess you'll just.
Damn, you haven't sent it to him, bro. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he's busy making his own music to pull apart.
He doesn't need the app. He's singing his own songs, right?
Exactly. He's singing the vocals.
C-Flow, I got this. Relax.
I saw some comments on Twitter. People thought that the AI making the acapella was like a computer singing the song.
What?
Oh wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were like, why would I ever want a computer to make the acapella?
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve over there.
Fucking internet. The internet.
So wait, I want to talk about you guys. Everyone's pretty much from New York. You know, Ross is kind of like, you've been in LA now for what? A year?
A little over a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're basically, I want to talk about the New York scene right now and what's happening now, what's been happening, and what you guys think is going to happen and how it's looking, because I don't know, man, over the past 5 years, and maybe it's more because I've been in Vegas since 2005. Never's been in Vegas since 2001, right?
No, 2003.
2003, yeah. So it seems like in the past 5 years, and let me know if it's more than that, it seems like NYC nightlife has not been very kind to DJs. And you guys can tell me.
Yeah, they all nodded at the same time.
Well, is that exclusive to NYC? I would just say, like, looking at the big scheme of things, the ceiling has come down across the entire market everywhere over time.
I think Vegas has been okay. It has been pretty okay, steady. I think Miami has been kind of not bad as well. You know, I think New York, just for New York to be kind of the mecca of nightlife since, I don't know, the 70s to the 2000s, would you say?
Yeah.
Right? In America?
Yep.
For it to be the mecca and kind of the standard of what nightlife is, and then to all of a sudden in the 2010s just become like this, you know, just this lifeless city of like, you know, like it was just almost had no identity. You guys can explain it more, but I would visit my homies and DJs in New York and they just be completely defeated and discouraged. And you know, it's just like, why is the city, why are these companies, why are these clubs treating these DJs like this? It's like a horrible fucking thing, you know what I mean? But I wanted to talk about it because, you know, like, I don't know, at some point, maybe like 2-3 years ago or 4 years ago, you know, like gigs were like $400 all night for like from open to close for like a major club, for like a big club. And, you know, in Vegas, $400 would maybe, you know, a competent DJ who could hold down like a casino bar or casino lounge would get $400 for an all night, which would be like 11 to 2. But, you know, the New York dudes are doing 11 to what, like 5 or some shit?
Fucking 4:30 probably.
11 to 4, yeah.
Yeah.
10 to 4 sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for it, I think, probably. And you're talking more exclusively about kind of open format, bottle service type clubs.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The more dance scene has its own scene, and that is still, I think, kind of thriving in Brooklyn and certain areas in New York.
Well, what?
For a limited, if you can break into that world, if you can build your name just like anywhere else. In terms of like bottle service and that kind of high end, whatever club environment, I think a lot of it is the rent. A lot of it is the people who are living in the city now. And then there's a lot of competition and the clubs are going to pay what they have to pay. And we spent a lot of years getting those rates up in New York and slowly every year creeping them up. I don't know if anybody, I don't think even like Tondo remembers, like I had to leave New York in order to start working in New York. I was just opening every night. It was impossible for me to break through to that like headlining slot. And at that time it was, you made $150, $200 to open. And then if you did the whole night, they kind of still gave you $200, like they kind of just saw you as this role player DJ. I had literally had to move to Miami in order to, and start doing really good clubs down there. And then I started working in New York after that. Then I would come back and they'd be like, oh shit, like you were killing it in Miami. Now we're going to give you a better chance in New York. I would also come up like once a month. So I would make myself scarce. I wasn't like trying to work every week. So I could kind of hold off, or I could stack a few gigs and like make it a special event, try to pick really good weeks to be there where the club was going to be popping. It was all really strategic.
Yeah, did the clubs know you moved to Miami?
It took a minute, but I mean, the managers didn't notice me back then, like they didn't care. I was just hired hand. So when I moved to Miami, and then like a lot of the club operators from New York started coming to Miami to party, and I would be DJing.
Okay.
Half the time they recognized me, half the time they wouldn't, but they'd see me doing a room like Privé or Mansion, and they'd be like, oh shit, you can hold this room down. It was the same shit I was doing in New York, but now it was like, okay, come back. And
wow, man.
now like, I mean, I've probably quadrupled my rate, just by like leaving and DJing in a new environment or whatever. And so that was great. And I would just go to New York occasionally. And then when I went back to New York, you start feeling it again, where it's just so many DJs, so few clubs now.
Yeah.
And, you have like conglomerate clubs, and they can pretty much just set the rules and the whole city follows it, at a certain point.
Yeah.
Tando, I feel like we were in different, like kind of opposite. You were kind of uptown and right in Brooklyn some, and sometimes downtown. And I pretty much stick to Lower East Side and sometimes meatpacking, I guess.
Yeah, I was like mostly at like, I would open at like One Oak and up and down like every week. That was my thing for like years. And I'd do the Jane Hotel on weekends and like just other stuff. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my thing. And I don't know, I agree with Ross that like all the people that start their own parties in New York, I feel like they're not complaining because they found a way to like make it profitable for them. But it, like as far as like the open format like bottle service scene, it's just like there's so many less clubs than even when I started. You know what I mean? Like meatpacking, you said Pink Elephant. I forget the one across from Catch, but like VIP Room, like all these places, and now it's just like One Oak and like Tao and I guess Avenue's gone. So it's like I don't even know because I haven't been. Who knows what
might be gone? I mean, the rumors are crazy, right now. So and the problem is the only bright side to it might have been that rents came down because of all this, and that new clubs would be able to open, and people who weren't, multimillionaires would be able to open a cool spot. But I mean, but that's not going to happen because it doesn't seem like the rents are coming down that much.
But you know what? Today I read an article in the New York Post, and they're saying that they're going to dead all dance floors in the nightclubs in New York.
They're what?
All the dance floors. They're not going to have dance floors anymore at the nightclubs. It's just going to be small venues. It's just going to be the new thing.
Yeah.
But are small venues even going to survive? Like, because I'm.
So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys know, but I have my own DJ agency. Downtown Talent, and I kept it under the radar kind of on purpose because I didn't want to operate like some of the other agencies around. But I was primarily booking small rooms. My target was not big rooms or bottle service clubs or whatever, and that was because I know that a DJ can make a big difference in a small room at a small bar or bar club, and the bar will see a difference in sales between a great DJ and a good DJ and a shitty DJ. There's going to be a difference at the bar. versus in a large club, it doesn't really matter. You know, they could put a promoter up there with his iPod plugged in, as long as there's bass music and Big Sean coming out of the speakers. Like, they're going to make their $33,000 at the bar, no matter what. So
not true, but
well, I mean, that's how they approach it. That's how the talent buyers approach it. Like, they don't value the DJ, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you can make a big impact in the bar sales, specifically between 2:30 and 4 a.m. If the DJ is talented and knows how to, like, you know, program the night properly. So my whole thing was coming into rooms that pay $300 a night and saying, hey, look, use my team right away. It's $350 because I'm going to make my $50. But if you like how it's going after 4 weeks, our minimum is $400, of which I'm going to take 20%. The DJ's making $320. A month after that, you still like it, we're going to end up at $450. I'm going to take 20%. The DJ's going to end up making $360 in a room that pays $300. So the DJ's making more at a spot, and the bars, everyone that we approached and saw it, it was a positive business relationship. And all those were small rooms downtown, open format, kind of, I guess, high energy dance, you know, throwbacks, current pop, up and down. You're moving it all around. But it was a tried and true business model. It was really working well up until the shutdown.
How did you start that? How did you initiate? Like, how did you start becoming a DJ pimp for all these spots in LA?
Dog, come on.
The first one was just at a venue that, like, they had no clue what they were looking for, and they had been around, I guess, close to a year. And they were in my neighborhood, and I hadn't even heard of them. That's how, like, off the radar they were. And they needed a cover one night, and I ended up getting connected. And I came in and I did my thing, and apparently it was drastically different than anyone they'd had in there.
Right.
And the guy's like, hey, look, we want you back, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know, like, I charge more than what you guys are paying. I think they were paying $300. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know if we can do that, whatever. I was like, look, you know, we'll just put one date on the board at $300 again and bring the owner in so he can see the difference. And after that, the owner was like, he was like my age, and he was sold. He was like, this rules. We're seeing a huge difference at the bar. And I was like, well, you know, if people are here this night and it's great, and they want to come back to your bar, and it sucks the next time they're here, then they're not going to come back again. And that's going to mean I have to start from scratch every time I play here. Why don't you let me start feeding DJs in here who won't be the same thing I'm doing, but it's at least a similar caliber, and I can vouch for them and give them direction.
Damn.
And
look at that game, yo. That shit is crazy.
Yeah, well, he gave me a shot, and it worked out really well for them. And they went from a spot that had no following to like 100 people down the block. Like, slam.
Wow, man.
They ended up opening the second spot. Like, I didn't set out to open an agency or anything like that. They expanded and used me again for their programming. And then another venue hit them up, and they said, hey, what's your secret sauce? And they put me in touch. And then I had three slots on every Friday, Saturday. And I was like, okay, I got to spin off another business here.
Wow,
man.
Handle the money. And then once I did that, I sort of like,
crazy.
I was like, well, let me hit the gas with this other business entity and see what's going on.
Wow.
So, I was up to like 10 venues every Friday, Saturday. It was pretty good.
So wait, you started with this one company, and you actually helped them grow, right? And expand, right? And then they opened another venue, and they brought you there.
Yeah.
And then how many venues did they ended up opening?
Eventually they had a third one, and up until March they were about to open a fourth and fifth in April.
Oh, shit.
But you know what's really sad is, I don't know if you guys ever saw on my tweets talking about like collecting all the payments all these venues owed me after the shutdown. I've got the money from every venue except for them, and I am in the process of taking them to court. So
really,
it's like, and like in the emails I was like, you know, hey, you guys are my flagship customer. You know, like, I realize our relationship stems back from my original, you know, endeavor here, and I don't want to have to do this, but like, these are my next steps. And they just weren't answering. They just wouldn't answer. And I'm like, all right, my next step is you're going to get a letter from my lawyer. You know, still no answer.
These are the guys that owed you like $20K or something?
No, they owe me $4K.
$4K?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4 weekends, you know, and I had the rate in that room at $500 a night. So
see, like, I had a couple of clubs owe me money, and it was nearing, I think it was close to 6 to 8K, and I was ready to just kind of take an L on them, man, just because I'm like, yo, like, no one's making money, so I just kind of like, yo, I got to take that L, and everyone's taking the L, and I was ready to just be like, you know, like, what am I gonna do? in the end, I know these clubs, I know the GMs, I know like the people there. I'm not gonna hound them like they're like evil, like they have the money. Some of them don't. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. You may know better than me, but
well, the thing is, like, I had it. You know, it was like
Yeah.
I had 8 or 9 different venues not paying me, so it was somewhere around like $30K.
wow.
And so I was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna kind of have a blanket ask here, where I'm like, hey, I understand you're not in a position. You know, I slowly ratcheted up from like friendly to stern to like, you know, you're leaving me no choice to now my lawyer is going to take over this conversation.
You didn't fear that when things kind of maybe start going back together, they're gonna be like, yo, fuck C-Flow. He was.
I mean, at this point, I'm like, fuck them for not wanting to pay me. Why would I want to do business with someone like
What a pimp, bro! This motherfucker's pimp hands strong.
Like, I'm not. There's decisions that are made. They're the ones who decided not to pay.
Right.
So, like, I don't have any qualms. With
I guess it's worse that they didn't answer their phones, right? If they answer their phones,
Oh, they all reached out with. I mean, when I had the lawyer send the blanket email, you know, with different info for each person, I got 30% of. I got 10 grand of that back in the next 2 hours.
Wow.
Like, I had all these venues just pay the bills right away. You know, and then the other ones were like on payment plans. So like, all it took was someone with a different email address asking on my behalf. Like, fuck that.
Right.
So you think you would never work with them again after this is over with?
I mean, I don't think they're gonna survive.
Right.
That's the thing. Is like, you know, I'm on a list of vendors that didn't get paid,
Yeah.
and I'm not the one that's not gonna get paid.
And that, I think that's the misconception is everyone's saying that, oh, these smaller venues, these smaller bars are gonna, you know, that's gonna be the saving grace for DJs. And I'm like, I don't think they're gonna be open. Like, they're not gonna be open this year. I don't think. Maybe in some cities, like maybe ours, you know, these like smaller towns or whatever, but definitely not in major cities. I don't think there's gonna be any
I think
bars.
since
you know?
we were the epicenter, I think we're gonna be the last market to come back online. You know, just off. You know, like the reputation of that, like that damage has been done, that they're going to be the most cautious about. You know, we're also all very small basements clubs, so like everyone's in each other's faces. There's no airflow, which is like what makes it awesome, but it doesn't make it conducive under COVID.
No, not at all.
Right.
I definitely don't think small bars are going to be open in New York. I don't think, you know, maybe I think if anything, outdoor venues, any venue that has a patio or rooftop. You know, anything that's kind of outdoors, those are the only ones that are going to survive. And they got to start implementing some type of food menu with whatever they're doing just to open up.
Well, it's going to be like, you know, restrictions for a while. As they open things back up, it's really the conglomerates that are going to be able to weather the storm financially. You know, like, and even Tao Group closing Avenue and Vandal, and, you know, I'm sure there are more in the pipeline. They're like, you know, they're owned by Madison Square Group.
Yeah.
They got, you know, an unlimited amount of money to weather the storm if they wanted. Not that it's financially sound for them, but for a small business where like those guys you're making a healthy profit on a weekend for sure. But, you know, I don't think they were doing rainy day funds. You know, they weren't answering to investors, I don't think. So
do you think that it's funny? Do you think that this was kind of a reset that New York needed, though?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell till we make it to the other side.
And that nightlife didn't really seem like it was evolving. It was like holding on to something that was maybe passe. It was like kind of holding on to this old time that didn't exist. And they were like convincing everybody that, no, this is still relevant. And it maybe wasn't. And so I feel like everything's getting reset at this time.
I don't know if that's necessarily unique to New York. I mean, it's the on-demand culture, right? Like everyone having Spotify streaming and all the requests, like the same stuff that's been talked to death. I don't know. I mean, that kind of happens everywhere, right? People being only wanting to hear some type of thing in that environment, right? Like,
well, I think like if you go to like Scottsdale, Arizona, you know, they have their kind of like mega sports bar, you know, format that's really doing well. You go to Las Vegas, they have their big room format that's kind of doing well. LA has this kind of like, you know, I don't know, small, like kind of secular
small
parties,
intimate
parties.
intimate venues. Yeah.
And then when I would go back to New York, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on over here? You know, like there would be one or two parties that would really stand out. but everything else would be like, what is this? Like, what, this is New York? Like, I was going, and I felt bad for the DJs because they're just trying to get through it. But obviously I wasn't going to like the smaller venues, but I was going to like, some of the more high profile, well-known clubs that are in the city. And yeah, I just feel like maybe this reset is kind of necessary. And then, even with Tondo, like, what you're going through, does it seem like this is it seems like this rebrand is kind of like working for you a little bit, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's like with the open format, like bottle service stuff is, for me, it's always just been like a means to an end. Like, I like DJing and shit, but like, I don't like any of that music really. Not on some like music snob shit. Just like, I don't know. Hopefully, if I could come out of this like an artist, is instead of like just being like a work for hire, like that would be dope. You know what I mean? Just like that would be the goal. Yeah.
What about you, Ross? Do you feel the same way, kind of a little bit, or no?
I don't know. I really just don't know, man. It's such a fucking crazy time.
Yeah.
DJing was already on the decline. I mean, that was no secret for open format for, the kind of the grinders, the blue collar DJ guys, even kind of at the higher end. You could feel that it was changing and it was dying out. Definitely in New York, like you felt that it was just being so consolidated and so oversaturated with DJs that you could just tell. Everywhere too. Vegas was the same thing. LA is the same thing. Tons of DJs. Everybody's like pretty good. Serato, it's really hard to be shitty on Serato. If you go and hear a few DJs and hear what they do, you kind of figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not like when back when I was talking about Miami, where we're like transitioning from vinyl, it's still really tough to organize a set and to know the room. Now it's not really like that so much. The music is really streamlined. So, I mean, for me personally, I'm like looking at my hobbies, the things that have always been my hobbies, and I'm like, how am I going to turn that into a job? Which kind of makes me a little bit sad, like that's not how I want to treat my hobbies. But the production thing, you just keep hammering away. It's I'm not optimistic about DJing. I don't think.
When are you guys realistic?
It's not coming back. I mean, I think we're talking about a couple of years before it's like recovered. I think next year, if it comes back, it's going to be lockdown. Can we survive? What's the bare minimum we can pay? What's our bare minimum expense we can have to try to rebuild our company?
I still think it's
how I would be.
I still think it's a desperate look next year of anyone trying to think that they're gonna bring it back. Like, 2021, we're coming back. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, that's a transition year. You're still gonna be figuring shit out, and they're not gonna know what's going on even next year.
Yeah,
and
it'd be a great time. It'd be a great time to open a new club. I've been thinking since day one, like it would be amazing to come out of that with like a new club, a whole new kind of room, something unique. But if the rents aren't going to come down in these big cities, it's not going to happen. If they don't do anything about trying to make it more affordable, so cool people, not billionaires, can open a club with like and can afford to take the risk of potential failure.
Right.
Right now in New York, you can't take that risk.
But that's why I think that's not what you're talking about. Is not going to happen until 2022 because, like we're saying, like commercial properties are vacant right now, right? Like
it's
offices.
Not gonna happen. It's not going to happen ever.
I think I think it is going to happen next year because this. Let me just lay this out for you guys. Pause. So, commercial properties are all vacant. Most of them are mostly vacant. Offices are becoming vacant. Everyone's working remotely, right? A lot of corporations are like, wow, we're running on like really low expenses. You know what I mean? This is kind of the shit that we want to do. Maybe we're, 30% down on productivity, but this is worth it because we're saving a ton of money. So commercial properties are going to become more vacant. They're going to be turned into residential like properties, right? That's going to take at least a year or so to do that. Residential rent's not going to go down. They're going to hold out till next year. And by next year, I feel like New Yorkers are going to be like, fuck this. We're going to LA or we're going to go to another city. So then all of these, this year and next year. And then by next year, probably by this time next year or definitely by the end of next year, because towards the third and fourth quarter, all of these landlords are going to be like, fuck, let's lower. We've had vacancies.
That's already happening.
Yeah. I think by next year, it's going to go down even more. And
it's definitely going to be a huge influx of new blood in the city. It's going to be a younger
Yeah.
It's going to be, a little more indie, right? Like it's been Disneyfied over the past 20 years, right? And so it's just gotten more and more homogenous.
I hope so. I hope you're right, man. Look at the numbers right now. Look at who's making money. And a lot of people are making a lot of money. And it's the same people who live in Manhattan right now. It's not kids. You know what I mean? Like it's their kids.
Right. No, I'm not saying I agree with you I don't think that nightlife's going to bounce back so quickly and you can go and invest in the property, whatever, because the rent's down. I don't think that, but I'm saying if the rents do plummet far enough, it's going to, the people who have been here for 10, 15 years are already going to be like, hey, like you said, an exodus. And that leaves a vacuum for then young people to come in who can afford it if the price is right.
Mm-hmm. So, I think 2022 is going to be like a renaissance period for New York. Where 2022, I think people you're going to get an influx of creatives coming back into the city, young and everything. So that's my hopefulness and my feeling.
But you have to consider if in another year and a half, 2 years, that age group of whoever those kids are, 23-year-olds to 25-year-olds. Do they still want to go to a club like the ones that we've been working at for the past 10 years?
No, they're going to create their own movement. They're going to create their own movement. Yeah, it's going to be completely different, and we're going to
That's what quarantine has shown me, especially even just like DJing on Instagram and stuff like that. You realize how some of these personal brands that have been built up because of the club environment don't actually hold water when you remove it, from the sort of the hype of the club. As you watch some of these just online sets, even my sets, you start to realize what your actual potential is in terms of, getting people to tune in or moving the needle or how much you actually kind of matter in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of eye-opening, it makes you realize that the real importance is in starting your own parties, doing something unique, offering an experience to people. And those are going to be the parties that succeed. I think MoMA's going to come right back out, and his first Everyday People is going to be Psycho, and Tiki Disco is going to come back, and it's going to be crazy.
Right.
Because people want those experiences. Is a bottle service club or kind of a rotating cast of people and promoters going to be like that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe.
I think in a perfect world, I would love to see all these really talented people with their parties from New York to LA to Miami. I would love to see opportunities for them to open their own club.
Me too.
I think
that's the answer.
I think is kind of weird about it is about the shutdown and about how that's all played out. It seems like the less skin you had in the game, or the if you weren't pushing as hard, it hit you, but it didn't hit you as hard. So if you're just a working DJ, you're out of work right now. But if you were, in my shoes and you had the income from 40 other guys working for you,
right,
I obviously am feeling the effects much harder. And then if you're in Chris or Eric's position, right, where they own clubs in San Francisco, Portland, you've taken that next logical step, which is to open your own club and be the one in charge. And that makes the most sense. And those guys are now hurting even the most because, with more investment there's more responsibility. And now the rug's been pulled out from all of us at every level.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the further you pushed into the scene and the more you created for yourself, the harder this hurts, which is really sad to see.
Sometimes it's sad to see. Sometimes you're like,
I'm just feel for those, you know what I mean? I feel for.
Sometimes you're like, that motherfucker got what he deserved.
You guys got beef. I didn't realize.
No. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. You know what I'm saying?
So you know what I mean, though. If the DJ that made the jump to the next thing, that
right.
Investing in nightlife, and those guys
they gotta start over again.
Yeah,
right. Circumstantially being punished for the smart decision. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that a lot of DJs, kind of in July right now, they're really kind of everything kind of hit them in July, because I felt like in March they felt like everything was going to come back to normal by now, and now it's kind of clicking in. It's like, yo, this is not going to come back to normal. And they're like, holy shit, this is not going to come back to normal for, I don't know, maybe until next year or longer. So I've been getting a lot of people reach out to me
it's not just DJs, it's everybody.
Yeah, right. Every industry, right? Yeah.
You should ask a therapist or something about it. It's insanity. Things you've never seen. It's like wartime almost. The mentality of people right now, the anxiety levels. is something that we've never seen in our lifetimes for sure. And who are much older than us, they've never experienced this kind of uncertainty, this kind of anxiety. It's really crazy. Mm-hmm. We're living through historic times right now.
Yeah.
not by choice. You brought up something about like kind of like you're going to your hobbies now, right? We're all kind of going to our hobbies and our loves and what we do. You know what I'm saying? And like Ross, you released a book, Rap Tees, a while ago about vintage hip hop tees, right? From the 80s and 90s, pretty much, right? And then recently with the Jordan documentary that came out and the Beastie Boys documentary that came out during the pandemic, right? Over the past few months, you created all these like videos, kind of like, showing off your collection of vintage, Jordan gear and like Beastie Boy tees. And then you just released like a Public Enemy one that was amazing.
By the way, that was great.
Yeah. You like
amazing, Ross. You body that shit, bro.
You up the production.
Crooked. Appreciate that help, Crooked.
Oh no. I mean,
feedback.
You upped the production level. It looked like a mini documentary the way you did it. I was like, when I saw that Public Enemy kind of tribute that you did with the vintage tees, I was like, this is like a potential like Netflix series or like a YouTube channel, if anything, But I think it's funny that you're saying about hobbies, like just digging into something like that, how something like that can turn into an opportunity, like right now. Because if anything, none of us will ever have the time like this to really develop something like this. Like now is the perfect fucking time to do that, especially with C-Flow with you with like an app, like.
Yeah, or like, I mean, I'm doing the Apple support stuff too. It's cinchsupport.com.
What is this? Wait, what is this you're doing?
Wait, what did he just drop?
It's cinchsupport.com. Cinch, CINCH.
Oh yeah, you're doing Apple, so you're focusing on Apple support.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I wouldn't know if I guess it's a hobby. I mean, I'm always messing around with the Macs and stuff. It's just something that comes easily to me, and I guess the hobby element is helping other people.
Right.
So when you're like, hey, something's not working, I'm like, oh, maybe I can help. I know I helped Tando do it over FaceTime, right? 'Cause like months ago.
Yeah, I wiped my OS trying to update some shit, and I had to go back in OS. Don't update.
I had to go back. I was visiting my parents in Oregon, and I was like, at my mom's house, like FaceTiming with them. Like, no, you got to click that. I actually went back after that. I made videos so I could just send people the link to the video, and you're just like, go through it like this. So
that'll come in useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep doing that. I mean, when I launched Stemverter, like that day, I did it off of a 3-hour Zoom seminar. I did like a webinar for like DJs and just like general Mac help, and then kind of went into more specifics. And I think I'm gonna go back and break down everything that was in that webinar into like 30-second, 1-minute videos. So instead of like you having to slog through all this crap, I could just be like, all right, here's this video. This is why I do this. Here's this video. This is why I do this. Some of it's DJ related. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it's just making your computer like easier to use. Stuff like downgrading an OS. I know a lot of guys who, not even DJs, just like music producers or like graphic artists or whatever. People click update because it prompts them to, and then they're stuck with a computer that doesn't do what they need. And, you're left with pretty limited options unless you have someone on the team. So I'm trying to be that person for anyone,
Smart.
It's Tando, you've been what do you call it? You've been using a lot of this time. Has this been really an opportunity for you to just really focus on production? And have you been loving this time right now?
Yeah, it's been dope. Like sometimes like having too much time is like a little bit of a curse almost. Like sometimes you just it's like fuck, like I miss DJing because it was like a break for the ears, and like, but it's definitely been fruitful. Like I finished more stuff than I ever have, like finished songs, and it's been dope. But so yeah, I definitely kind of miss the balance of just like leaving just to go do some like work I'm getting paid for, and just I like just DJing for a little bit. Definitely the balance, I guess. You know what I mean? But it's been great. It's been a blessing in disguise for sure.
Are you tired of skating yet or no?
I haven't skateboarded regularly in like 4 years, so it's like kind of just been like reconnecting with like an old passion, you know what I mean? And just
Is
like,
there a park up near you, or are you coming down to the one down here in Chinatown?
I go to the one Tompkins Square and like
Oh, okay, cool.
one on Houston and 6th, and just trying to find ways to occupy my time because like can't be in the house like 24/7. You know what I mean? Like finding ways to get out and be around people and stuff.
Got it.
Oh,
Have you been going on IG Live or Twitch?
Not once.
No.
I'm like, I'm not sold on it. Like I see some people are. It's like the people that are finding it advantageous. I feel like they have those relationships. Like they know somebody at Twitch, so like they're getting some type of tier that most guys don't have access to, and it's like everyone was streaming on IG Live, and now nobody's streaming on IG Live that I see. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Until the publishing side gets solved, I feel like it's kind of like it's a bit ambiguous.
I feel like there's a vacuum. There's definitely a space for some company to come in, just like Versus, and come in and be the middleman, whether it's, you know, a DJ live streaming official branch of Twitch or Spotify or Apple Music that can come in and say, hey, look, we're covering the blanket rights. We got Ross today. You're doing it on this, just like a Versus, you know, or, you know, maybe have all channels like a Sirius XM sort of thing, but with an app, or maybe it's on the platform already, but it's an official channel on the platform. But I think someone's got to figure that out.
I think Twitch is really, really working on it. Like they are really investing a lot of time and money into it, and it's just such an early stage. You know, like if you think about it, you know, this happened maybe 2 to 3 months ago that everyone just started coming on Twitch as like a new standard. So it's so early right now, but I think they're really, really, from what I hear, they're really, really putting a lot of money and a lot of time into making this a new platform for DJs.
Cool.
So I think it's only a matter of time before they kind of get over that hump with all the publishing and the shit with the labels. And you're going to start seeing more festivals and there's just more interaction on the Twitch platform. But, you know, Tondo, you're exactly right. Like, it is discouraging for a lot of people who are joining the platform on Twitch when they're seeing certain other DJs just kind of get bumped to the front, you know, through relationships. But like in anything that we do, that's always a factor. And also it depends on the level or tier of a DJ. You know, the more respected and well-known a DJ and more plugged a DJ, of course, they're going to get like preferential treatment. So it's just one of those things where it's unstoppable anywhere you go, whether it's anything, you know, so. But
it's almost what was happening with the clubs and having an Instagram following, but magnified. You know, you're trying to get booked and you don't have enough clout, and now it's like same thing inverted or whatever online.
Are you guys seeing any DJs that were like kind of high profile, would have a large following, who are more influencers turned DJs? Have you seen them kind of step away from DJing?
I guess I don't pay enough attention.
I was just wondering. You know,
I don't know who would that be with like Chantel Jeffries. Like
that's the first person that came to mind.
Like no disrespect to any of those type of people. Like I just don't follow them.
Yeah.
Like,
are they still down for the cause? Like I haven't checked them out. Like are they still like trying to like stream or anything? Or are they just kind of living it up in their mansion?
Do they issue copyright strikes while you stream?
No.
Or is it
No.
So what happens is nothing interrupts your live stream, but once that stream is saved, depending on how many subscribers you have or whatever, they're taking kind of muting out songs from the saved video. Does that make sense? So it's not like Instagram, it's not like IG Live where they knock you off of the stream.
Yeah.
But definitely once the stream is saved and it's available to be viewed multiple times afterwards, there's definitely like 10 to 20 minute pockets where they take music out. So some people have like try to check like R.O.A.D podcasts on Twitch, and they're like, oh, I want to hear what y'all did, and they're like, oh shit, there's like half an hour like muted out. So we're just like, oh, like that was a wash, which is bad obviously, but it's kind of good because it kind of forces everyone to watch it in real time sometimes. But yeah, I mean, whenever you're ready, Tondo, you can go up on Twitch live stream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Count. I was gonna ask though, how do you feel about like the DJs that are like posting petitions like and adding every label like, yo, like stop messing with us? And I'm kind of like, I'm 50-50 on that. Like I hear them, but it's also like people want to get paid for their music. I understand that too. So I was curious how you feel about that.
I'll let them talk about that.
You know what? I think everybody needs a cause, right?
I mean, I think it's fair.
Everybody needs a cause. So if that's their cause, if that's going to give them purpose in life, yo, you go for that shit. Like you do that.
No, what you're saying though, it makes sense on both sides of the coin, and I think the frustration is that they've had so long to figure it out. There's still nothing in place to facilitate it. The content filter on YouTube, they figured it out years ago. They're like, okay, we're going to monetize it, and instead here they just yank people for seemingly,
You think those DJs with those petitions are going to make a difference?
No, but they're trying to get their voice heard. They're frustrated, right?
Right. And that's the only way they can speak out. Which I'm fine. Like, yo, you do that shit. I actually appreciate it. But do I think it's gonna make a difference? I'm like, probably not. So would I think it would be better to find an alternative than to create these petitions? You know what I mean? Tondo, I kind of want to talk about a little bit more about your music, man, because I really enjoyed what you did with your single, Your Love.
Thank you.
I love the music video that you did.
Thank
and
you.
I love the work that look. I love seeing DJs put in. I love seeing DJs put in the work because I know that sometimes we can put ourselves out there and really set ourselves up for failure. So when I see a DJ go out there and really put themselves out there and put themselves on the line and put that work in, I love it. I love seeing that, and I love seeing the effort in there, because sometimes we all act like we're too cool and like everything should be effortless, but it's a lot of work for an independent DJ producer like yourself to come out with a song, do the artwork. I think Perez did the artwork on that one, right? And I love just kind of everyone helping each other, like in the circles, getting a music video done. And you had a great story behind that song as well, right? It was
I made that song like last year, and it was like while my mom was like dying, so it was like definitely like a crazy trying time, like going to the hospital literally every day, and just like, but also just knowing like you have to keep going, like life doesn't stop, you know what I mean? So I did that, and just I don't know, like I think a corner turn for me when I was like, I'm gonna stop trying to make remixes, because it's like everyone makes these remixes, but like an original song that's good can, one, make you so much more money, but two, it makes you an artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's just a more definitive statement of who you are, and it's like these remixes aren't even like legal most of the time, so it's like, you know how many DJs I know, like Diplo plays their remix and it doesn't do much. Like, you know what I mean? Like your SoundCloud plays go up a little, but like that doesn't affect your bottom line, and it doesn't even really grow you fans. So it's like, I think doing original music has definitely been like the biggest help to me to like try and stand out a little,
Yeah. And then I think it was such a great, I know you've been producing, like you said, for 10 years, but that was to me a great introduction. It seemed like you put there was a story behind it. The artwork was great. The music video was great. I noticed it, and honestly, I always say this because I notice a lot of things, but I'm really actually horrible at reaching out and telling people, yo, you like, that was great. Like, I really love that. And that's why I'm telling you now, because I wanted to tell you kind of, I just, it seems weird, like me hitting you, DMing you, and be like, yo, this is really great. I'm really feeling everything, It's kind of like that. But no, I thought it was really, I was really happy about it, and I wanted you to come on the podcast, because I feel like there's a lot of DJs that are exactly like you in every city in this country, who went through the struggles, and you really kind of, you stuck it in there for like 10 years, 8 to 10 years. And now we're not even seeing like the end result of everything, but we're seeing like the beginning of everything unfolding. Does that make sense? It's still very new, and it's like it hasn't really happened yet, but I see a lot of great things. Like you did a collaboration with Disco Fries, right? On My Mind.
Also a great record.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I just think I'm really I want everyone to keep an eye out for you, and I'm really expecting some great shit. No pressure, but I'm expecting some great shit from you. You know what I'm saying?
No pressure, but you're big fans over here, buddy.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're so what do you call it? You're so like a. But I want to also talk to you about something, because on Twitter you're very. There's this kind of like you have this energy of like. It seems like you're cocky, but you're being sarcastic at the same time, right? Yeah. And I'm wondering if it's like that Kanye energy where you kind of got to convince yourself. You know what I mean? Because every day there's somebody and something, and somebody's way more successful than you. There's somebody with way more connects. There's somebody with way more contacts and just every resources. So every day you kind of got to be like, you know what, like. I'm a fucking star, like, so you'll go on Twitter.
The delusional part.
Yeah, no, but you kind of got to like psych yourself into believing that you're gonna be a star, or like you're gonna do it, like this is gonna happen. So sometimes you'll be on Twitter and you'll say some shit, and I'll just start laughing, because it'll be like, you'll say like, yeah, I used to do these shitty New York clubs, and now look at me, over 100,000 streams on Spotify.
Yeah, fuck your shit.
like suck a dick, yo. Suck all your motherfuckers who doubted me, like suck a dick. And I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's getting his Kanye energy out. You know what I'm saying?
I like when he talks shit about Busta Rhymes.
Oh no, he talks a lot of shit.
We've all had to deal with Busta Rhymes coming into the clubs in New York, telling us to play his shit.
Give me that
right?
USB back.
I know, right? Standing right behind you.
To lean on this. He always says, I need you to lean on this song.
Hey yo, B, I need you to play my new joint. This is the new joint with me and Swiss. It's gonna be a monster.
I just came out the studio just 5 minutes ago.
It's not even mastered or anything.
You feel me, Tondo, right though? You know what I'm saying? Is that you kind of psyching yourself up a little bit, or what is it?
Yeah, I definitely I talk mad shit, and
yeah.
Definitely have.
You can't say I talk mad shit like how you just said it right now. I talk.
No, you talk a lot of shit, bro. A lot of funny.
My man's like, well, yeah, I talk mad shit.
Shit, wake up in the morning.
I think being confident is important. I think if you believe in yourself, don't let anyone do you know how hard it is to make it in music? It's like saying I'm gonna be an astronaut. Good luck. You know what I mean? It's really fucking hard. So I think if you don't believe that you have the capability for greatness, then I just don't really know about that. I know for me, I have to believe with every bone in my body that I'm capable of making great music. You know what I mean? So I think that talking shit and being playful is cool, and I definitely don't have a big ego or anything. I'm just confident. You know what I mean? I know I'm still relatively new, and I have a lot to do before I could really flex on people or anything like that, but I'm just confident. I would say,
I appreciate it though. I sometimes I send your tweets, and I send it to my group chat with Ross, MoMA, and Rockthicon. And we're like, yo, I like this kid's in his bag right now. He's talking his shit.
Nah, he talks a lot of great shit on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious.
Comes from that Rockthicon school also,
Oh my God, no wonder.
At 50%, I'm not trying to go that full on,
don't go full rock.
No.
Jesus.
Oh man. But what do you call it? Is there anything else we want to touch on? Pause.
Speaking, I would say on that thing you were just talking about, Tondo, it's always nice to see people who work really hard and get really good at something quietly, and then put something out when they're ready and it's good. And it's and you can tell there's hard work behind it. There's not a lot of ego behind it. It's just spending a lot of time getting good at something. Making good music, doing good work takes time, and we forget about that in this world because it's so instant and social media driven. But at least for me, I'm always more inspired by people who've been quietly working, and then they kind of surprise you, and you're like, oh, this is fucking great, and I can tell I didn't know how good you were at this. It's so rare you get to say that, you know, like in this day and age, because people just want to tell you constantly. Their first day in a studio, they're going to fucking Instagram 20 times behind a keyboard and a mixing board or whatever. So I would tell, you know, if I knew more young people, I would definitely try to instill that, you know, that kind of way of thinking. Not good for your career by any means, but, you know, makes me respect you more.
We always talk about this, Ross, right? Like the dedication to the craft. You know, like it's like, you know, like even Japanese culture, they're so obsessed with mastering their craft.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about Japan and Japanese people. I just love the whole mentality. Fucking taking your time to really learn about something, to really like immerse yourself, to not necessarily, you don't have to be an expert, but you got to pay some dues, you know, before you can. And that's the thing about being a New York DJ. For all the New York guys I know, everybody paid their dues. Everybody put in their 5+7 years grinding, opening up for DJs who you know you're better than, you know, like fucking grunt work until you get that they make you earn it, you know, that shot to kind of break through. Not as much now, because now, like I said, the playing field is just leveled by Serato, but especially back then, Crooked Neva, you know, like you get those shots, the headline. Yeah, that's a big moment. You know, it's a big moment when you've been putting in that work for years, and then you get that shot.
Definitely.
I've also blown that shot multiple times as well.
That one gets an A over me too. So have I. We all have. You know what I mean? Like and it's so heartbreaking. It's brutal. You know, like
you always think I'm never gonna get that chance again, man. Like you're just like, I really blew that shit, and I'm never gonna get it again. But then somehow, you know, you get it.
It happens. You get it again.
Yeah, you get
Even
it again.
If you do get it again, you never forget. I'll never forget those times where I fucked up that opportunity.
Yeah, but the great thing is, like, usually the second or third time it happens, you're just kind of like, I'm gonna fuck this up again. You know, like
no, you get used to it. You be like, oh, fuck it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
There's really a beauty of not giving a fuck. Like, really not giving. But you have to you have to really master the craft, or like really excel in the craft to get to that point where you just don't give a fuck. And when you don't give a fuck, some beautiful shit just happens sometimes. Like just the effortless, like the talent and just like everything that you've been building in your head and your heart and everything, it just somehow oozes out of you effortlessly when you don't give a fuck and you've reached that point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love watching. I remember watching SNS one night, like on a Butter Monday, and he was playing on CDs. And this was like kind of back when not as many people were playing on CDs, and the CD just like ended. And he was playing Michael Jackson or something. And the song just ends, and he's just like, the club is packed. He's just like scrolling through, trying to find the next song, starting it. It's fucking up, like stopping it, going to the other one, finding the thing, dead air. And it was just like so confident. He just didn't give a fuck at all because his, like whatever, his pedigree was so good. So he knew like he didn't need to be there. Like it was just a great thing. I always remember that, and it was awful. Like it was a terrible fuck up. And I would have been like, I would have remembered it to this day if it was me too. But for him, it seemed so cool. I was like, yo, this is great. Like the confidence in this dude, doesn't give a fuck. And then Rock used to do that a lot too, you know, in a slightly more aggressive.
Of course he did.
But it's not good. Again, it's just like I was talking about. These are not good things for your career. It's just things I respect.
But they're just cool as fuck, you know?
It's the same thing like putting in your time and not promoting yourself every step of the way. It's a terrible idea if you want to be a DJ. But, you know, I respect Hondo for putting in that time and making good music, you know.
You know,
you get respect from five aging DJs in a group chat. So congrats.
Wait, say that. say that again, Ross. What'd you say?
I said you get the respect of like 5 aging DJs in a group chat.
That's right.
So. And an unemployment check will get you $600 a month.
Yeah. And we got two more weeks.
I thought it was one more week.
I haven't done it yet. Shit.
Damn it!
One more week in New York.
Vegas also. No, everywhere.
I don't know what Cali's doing.
They're cutting it off at the federal level. But.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
We gotta get a petition going.
But
that's the petition we need. That's the petition we need.
Yeah, where are those petition Twitter guys when you need that? Fucking do that shit. What do you call it? Tano, I kind of want to. Do you have any advice for kind of like if you look back on yourself 3 to 4 years ago? You know, what do you think is the best advice for DJs in that arena, or maybe those DJs that like kind of are just kind of discouraged with production and just believing that they can produce at this point.
I'd say that like for me, where I feel like I saw some results. Don't be afraid to work with other people. Like I realized like I'm not like Calvin Harris. Like I had my strengths and I had my weaknesses, and like Your Love, I made 100% of the song. Like it was just mixed and mastered by someone else. But like for the stuff I'm putting out now, it's like 50% me, maybe 70%, and another producer, like my homie in the Ukraine. And it's like, just like sometimes he'll just change a snare and I'll be like, damn, that was the song. That was the problem. And sometimes he'll do more. He'll like add a synth line. He'll change the bass line. And I'm totally fine with that because like I'm trying to compete on like the highest level. And at the highest level, it really isn't just one person. It's like, and that's where I'm trying to be. So like, I would say go get help. Stop thinking you're a genius because unless you went to the like Berkeley School of Music, you're probably not. You know what I mean? Like, just get help, honestly. Like, and yeah, that would be my advice.
It's funny because even when we look back on all of this music that was produced back in the day, it were like 15, there were 10 to 15 people. A lot of these pop songs have like, 6 to 8 writers and all of these different producers. And it really takes a village to put together good music. And I always tell Ross this too. I'm like, yo, like, I feel like all these producers just want to work by themselves, and then I feel like everyone should be collabing a lot more. And I would like to see a lot more producers, especially DJ producers, just work with each other a little bit more. You know what I mean? And just kind of just try different shit out. But I don't know. What do you think that is, Ross? Why do you think? Is it a ego thing? Is it a?
Well, I mean, a lot of DJs shouldn't produce, like there's a lot of trash out there. So there's also like a lot of people shouldn't make music, like if you're not a musical person and it's not a natural gift. For me, it's not necessarily a natural gift. I just really know what I like, and I know what I grew up on. And for me, I grew up digging for records, and kind of that's the whole reason I got into DJing was digging for records and finding loops and samples. And so spent 20 something years now, like just compiling those records. And then finally over the last 5 years going through and taking little chops. And I think it's all about knowing what you're good at. Just like what Honda was saying, you know what your strengths are. I'm not good at working on a record for 6 hours and trying out different synth lines and going through Splice for hours, trying to find the right sounds. I'm not good at it. I don't have the attention span. But when I work with Pace, he's great at that stuff. And he's more musical than me, like I'm more beat driven, loop and chop driven, and he's a much more musical person, and he's talented with that. So makes for a good combination. He could probably make beats. He can make beats without me, but I think the best beats that we've made have, my input. You know what I mean? So even for him, like he doesn't need me to make a great song, but for whatever reason, us working together, there's a good chemistry there.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't fight that for sure. And I agree. Get people to master your shit. Get engineers to work on it. Get help from people who you like. I don't know. Maybe people think that maybe people are really good. It's also really easy to produce now. It's really easy to make like a decent song, just like with Serato. Like I can make a hip hop beat, a current hip hop beat.
Cincy boys, yo, the Cincy boys. I like it.
The Natty Boys.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. We go back. We go like it's crazy to still be, working on shit.
Like look at Diddy. Like he probably can't turn on an MPC, but like that dude had his hand in those records and they're hits. If he didn't touch them, who knows? You know what I mean? Whatever he did, who cares? Like he's a part of those records, and
without him, they don't happen. That's
your role. Maybe you're an executive producer. You know what I mean? Like everyone doesn't have to be like Herbie Hancock, like everyone has strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. I'm really good at listening to something and figuring out everything that's wrong with it.
He's good at being a hater is what he's good at.
You may call it being a hater, but I call it, I don't know, like a refiner. I'm really good at refining something and being like, yo, this needs to be the arrangement and all that.
I'm a good tuner.
Yeah. But I just don't. I used to produce, but I don't know. I just don't have it. I don't have the patience anymore to do it. But I don't know. We'll see. You guys inspire me, all of you guys. and especially UC Flow, like creating apps and doing all of that stuff. That's I love all what you guys are doing, and I think it's inspiring, especially now for a lot of other DJs who are maybe a little lost, to maybe have them dig a little deeper inside themselves. Maybe look at some of the hobbies and some of the things in their life that they're not focusing on that they could actually create and make a business out of, you know? I don't know. But I think we have anything else we want to touch on? Pause? Nothing?
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
I could run a special promo code for R.O.A.D podcast listeners.
Oh, yeah, for the Stemverter?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. All
right, we'll do it for R.O.A.D, just R-O-A-D, all caps.
And what do they get? Like, what's
25% off? I'm pulling the update one at the end of the month, and I just realized this episode is probably not going to air before that. So
okay, yeah. So let's do like an August special or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do an August Stemverter special. Type in R-O-A-D Road, and you get 25% off. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Brings it down to $59.
Cool.
Nice.
Dope, man. And then
Good deal.
Yeah. And then Tando's gonna get a free one, right?
Yeah, you gotta get Tondo a free one.
Okay, cool.
We need him to keep making good music and shit.
I got you on the DM here.
Cool, man.
And then Ross One, he's a up and coming YouTuber now.
Yeah.
I want to get I cannot wait the day you do the Jordan one. I am waiting for that one because you did like a cool little snippet on it on Instagram, but I cannot wait for you to edit down a good one.
The rap,
I gotta shout you out, Ross, because years ago I saw that video you put out where I think Sujit was like, "You're not acting up, right? Like you're boring to watch DJ."
Right.
And that was like probably one of the first tongue-in-cheek promos I'd ever seen in DJing. And I really thought it was good.
It was the Keep It Moving. Thanks. It was the Keep It Moving promo videos, like right?
2009.
Yeah.
2011, I believe that was the one.
That 2012, yeah, somewhere in there. 11. Yeah. Crooked had a big role.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember seeing that, and that was a long time ago now, and it really inspired me. I was like, oh, you can get kind of silly with your promo here. Open my eyes. Yeah.
You did great, bro.
Now he's continuing.
Now I'm blogging from my guest bedroom.
YouTube.com/DJ Ross One.
Ross One.
It's funny that the Jordan doc though, the Jordan stuff, it goes back to what I was saying before. Like I don't feel like my collection is legit enough of Jordan.
Are you kidding me?
Make a thing. It's not because I like. I'm never gonna get past it. It's not even a conversation. Like I'll do it, but it has to be like there's a different school of thought on that.
Ross, I know motherfuckers are looking for some of those pieces for years. Like you're not gonna tell me this shit is not great.
Look at Ross.
Look, he's like, you have the full flight suit. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah, I guess.
We're
scarred, man. Crooked will tell you, like, we're just scarred fucking dudes by hype beasts have ruined us. Like we got issues.
Yeah, I know. Like our generation, like me, Ross, I don't know, maybe some of y'all other motherfuckers, like never. We come from the generation of like horrible self-promotion. We come from like the 90s, keep it real. Like we keep it too real. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't want to I don't know how to explain.
We don't want to look corny. We don't want to play.
We don't want to exploit.
I came from the era where we didn't want to look corny and play ourselves.
Yeah.
You don't like Riz to look at you and like roll his eyes. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Shit like that to happen is worse than death. It's just like the ultimate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it's embarrassing.
And it's wrong for us. Like it's stupid of us, but we're gonna probably die with that trait.
Yeah.
Well, unlike you, I feel like I've disappointed a lot of my DJ heroes out there.
Oh, for sure.
I know. Like Goldfinger DMs me all the time with a shaking head and he's like, yo, you're embarrassing the DJ community. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Shout to Goldfinger though.
Shout to Goldfinger.
And shout to Riz too, man. But yeah, I feel like we come from that era of like EPMD crossover. It was just like you just never wanted to cross over. Like you wanted to stay like
just
real.
To keep it real.
Yeah, we come from the generation where we shit on Stretch Armstrong and Bobbito for going on Hot 97. Remember? That's so insane. We were like, yo, man, we liked them when they were real and broke.
They sold out.
Yeah, and they sold out. Like they finally got a check. They finally got paid, and like we're like, man, it's not the same no more. It was like a retarded era that we grew up in. But I mean, we're that was like embedded in our heads even now. But
It's trauma.
We're still learning.
Well, I cannot wait for that Jordan video.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you're still gonna do it for the culture.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just do one for you. I'll make it an interactive. People can add theirs to it to make it a more complete look.
Ross, what'd you say, Tondo?
Clubs and pools open in Las Vegas.
There's some pools like
The day clubs are open.
Yeah, some of them, but it's like 30% capacity.
Yeah.
And people have to wear masks when they're not at their, it's like only cabanas and tables only. So, but they don't even know how long that's going to last because there's been talks that casinos are going to some of them are going to have to shut down again. So they really don't know. There's all these rules and there's too much going on. That's why it just seems like this whole club thing, whether it's inside or out, is just not the thing to happen in 2020. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be the last phase.
But Ross, Tondo, 1988, C-Flow, guys, thank you so much for coming on Road, man. We really appreciate it, y'all. Thank you, man.
My pleasure.
And
then, fun as always.
And Jamie, if you want to take us out.
If you want to watch this video alongside all our brand new videos we drop on Friday, every Friday, go to youtube.com/Road Podcast. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be the first one to get the video. And also, in additional, youtube.com/DJ Ross1 to check out the dope ass videos that he's gonna be putting out soon. Yeah, so go ahead, subscribe to him and hit the notification for him as well.
Yeah, Ross1, you're a YouTuber now.
Thank you.
You're a fucking YouTuber now.
YouTuber.
Welcome to the culture.
And YouTuber.
You sold out. You sold out, man.
I don't think anybody actually watches the YouTubes, but if I can be an IGTVer, I'm good.
And then, what do you call it? Also, every Sunday, we're going to be on Twitch at 8 p.m. PST, 11 p.m. EST, Eastern Time. Check us out on twitch.tv/Road Podcast. And big shout to DJ City, man. We're out.
Peace.
Peace.